Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixie Land. We are in Bible study. My name is Amy. I am indeed an ordained minister. We are in the NIV, and we will be through this year. In 2026, we will start a different version of the Bible because the objective is to read all of them and then start comparing them to each other to see how the language changes mean different things to us. So, in this, we're in the book of Genesis. In this video, we're doing chapter 11, 1 through 32. So, let's jump in. The Tower of Babel, or Babel, really, but Babel, as we would know it. Now, the whole world had one language and a common speech. So that sounds good. As moon moved eastward, we have a footnote of M, or from the east or in the east, depending upon what book it's in. They found a plain in Shinar, and then we have F. Now, Shinar is a different name for the same place, which is Babylonia, so Iraq. Right? And settled there. Okay, so they settled into Iraq. They said to each other, "Come, let's make bricks and bake them thoroughly." So bake them through, like all the way through, okay. They used brick instead of stone and tar for mortar. Okay, so pretty sticky, pretty solid. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens."
Motion detected at front door.
So that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the whole earth. Oh. So that now they want glory. And right there's your problem. You went seeking glory. That's not usually how he works. Put your head down, do the work. He'll give you glory because you're doing the work. Right? But it can't be for the glory of you. But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the men were building. The Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." Because remember, they had started mixing in with immortal blood, and he had to put a limitation on them so they couldn't just live forever and have one set of people who just rule over everyone forever, because they're just immortal, so therefore you can't ever get rid of them if they're rulers. Then you just end up with trouble. Not that we didn't end up with a different kind of the same kind of trouble. We did. They just aren't immortal. Unless you believe Highlander movies, which I do not. I have Highlander blood in me. That is false. They do die. And you don't need to cut off their heads. There's a lot of other ways. Most often was bacteria. In my bloodline, anyway. So the Lord scattered them from there to all over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel. Or, Babel, Babylonia, right? Okay. And that is Babylon. Babel sounds like the Hebrew for confused. That would be why we use it for that way. Did you know when you say somebody is babbling on about something that you're actually using a Hebrew word for nonsensical? You talk nonsensically. From Shem to Abram. Not Abraham. Abram. Abram. Because remember, God changes his name. This is the account of Shem. 2 years after the flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. Arphaxad. Axophrad, whatever, however you would say that. After he became the father of A, we're just going to leave it there. Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay, so lots of children, not just this one. When A had lived 35 years, he became the father of Selah. So, or Sheila, if you want to do it that way, but it's Selah in the way they say it. Selah. And after he became the father of Selah, A there lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay? So lots and lots. Just, we're only focused on certain people. Hebrew, okay, so that's in the Septuagint. You also can find it in Luke 3:35. And it's that note in Genesis in chapter 10. Okay. When Selah had lived 30 years, he became a father to Eber. Okay, so now they're more in the time frame we would be in. And after he became a father of Eber, Selah lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became a father of Reu, R-E-U, if I'm saying that right. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug. That's how I'm going to say it. S-E-R-U-G. Serug. And after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. Okay, but that's a big deal. You notice how we went 430 years after the 209 and then 207. When Serug lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor. N-A-H-O-R. Nahor. Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor lived 29 years, he became the father of Terah. After he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. Now it's even shorter. After Terah lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So this Nahor is obviously named after a great-grandfather there. Okay. This is the account of Terah. So that's the father of Abram. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran became the father of Lot. And most people who are Christians have heard of Lot. They like to talk about Lot, right? While his father Terah was still alive, Haran died in Ur, which is a location of the Chaldeans. And in Ur is usually like a title too, but the Chaldeans is also the location in the land of his birth, even more so. So now you know where his father was roaming around at, right? Ur is near Jerusalem, there in the Middle East at the time that this is set in. Abram and Nahor both married. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, because it's S-A-R-A-I. Anglicized, we would say that's Sarah. Okay. And the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, so he was married to his niece. The father of both Milcah and Iscah, I-S-C-A-H. Now Sarah was barren; she had no children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, and his son Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarah, the wife of Abram, and together they set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. That's another location in the area. But when they came to Haran, they settled there. Terah lived 205 years, and he died. in Haran. So he picked up his family and he moved. So at least they migrated together. In case you were wondering why it is that your family might have done that. Because my family definitely did, and that was even in the 1900s. The guy, one great-grandpa there, he owned a farm, and he talked to all the children he had, and there was a bunch of them. 13 of them between the boys and the girls, and nobody wanted to be a farmer. So I went, oh, where do you guys want to live? They said in town. I was like, okay. So he sold the farm, and they all picked up, and they moved into town. And that's what he did. And I believe he had a country store instead. Because that's where the children of the future wanted to be, so that's where he invested his money. But notice how easily he did that rather than having a fight and trying to force his children to be what he was. He was ready to not do it anymore, so he let them pick the future they wanted and help them get there. Isn't that a much more peaceable thing to do? Until the next video, friends, when we're doing chapter 12 of Genesis.